I had a dumb idea to open up with. Just something I was messing around with in live just a second ago. Also, I was just messing around with, I don't know if it actually is working or not. Let's see. So I realized I fucked up. So I had the event set up on YouTube for this, and it had like the scheduled time and everything, but I don't know. It's a good and bad thing. So I went ahead and just did the what's it called? Streamlabs Prime, I think. So I should be on Twitch. Let me see if this is working. So I didn't do any testing before. I don't know if this is gonna actually work. It is. So, YouTube chat. So this is as well. So if you want to subscribe, I don't know if people have a preference. It's really weird right now. If I show my screen, let's see if I dare. Something's going on. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, this is off to a great start, but I think it was just like, all right, I'll give it a shot and see what happens. I've been messing around with a couple things with the stream, like notifications, trying to understand what that looks like. Because I think Twitch has a lot more engagement that's kind of, I don't know, around. Oh my God. So there you go. That's the default one. Apparently, I thought I fixed it. And it should work across YouTube and Twitch. So I was messing around with like the whole alert box thing. I thought I had, I don't know which one's which. There's like subscriptions, there's subscribers, there's members. I don't know what's what. So yeah, I'm trying to figure all that shit out. And I want to do like full on custom, like just go into After Effects, make all sorts of custom overlays and stuff like that. I mean, I could do a stream on it. I don't know. That could be, I don't know, that kind of touches everything. It's like design, interaction, sound design, or like, I don't know if I can play them. So if I just went stupid, just as like quick default, I had a couple ringtones. Let's see if this works. It's like a Snoop clip saying Blood Owl, like pitched down with an echo, and Steve Brule going through a dumpster. So that's like setting the tone, I think. I don't know why I can't hide my bookmarks right now. Like the key commands just are not working. Sorry, I'm just having to go through all this stuff. And I said I was going to prep some stuff. I kind of sort of did. I prepped some thoughts, but not like a ton of things. But it shouldn't be too hard. I think just like segmenting out the stream for like Evinetta project is probably useful. But if you want to see kind of like what I'm looking at right now, it's so weird. Like they're all like slightly delayed, and it's all just like looking at myself. It's weird. What's going on, guys? Harold, Casey, thanks for coming through, guys. Yeah, there were like 8 people waiting on the other stream, and I don't think it's ever gonna start. And it wouldn't let me change the time from 11:50 to 3 o'clock. I would try and update it, and every time it would just be like, can't save. So I don't know what that's about, but we're here. Let me open up. So I'll get my window game going a little bit better. So I'm going to kind of start from the beginning. There was a request in the original event to kind of talk about like somewhat like working with Ash and some of the things I got from him. I'm sure there's a lot of probably more interest around around Ash than there is with me, but I mean, the guy's a boss, so I don't fault you guys whatsoever. But I'll go a little bit to that. I don't want to like talk too much about him. I don't know how much he wants things out in the open, but it's I don't know. He's pretty open about how he works. Let me see. So I am slowly getting caught up. So I'm trying to get my Chrome browsing. Chrome. Yes. So yeah, this is kind of where I started. The Window Management 101. Yeah, I mean, like if you know Ash's work, like you know he's got a vibe to what he does, and it's fucking amazing. And which like it puts it in like this own different league of like I'm not gonna be able to do what he does, so like I should probably steer away a little bit. It should feel like within his wheelhouse, but it should feel like something that that he was going to do himself. I think kind of bringing my own thing in, like I think he told me he wanted me to kind of go nuts, basically. Like he didn't give me any parameters for it. I asked him if he had any direction, any vision for it, and he basically sent me the film, which is basically this. So if you haven't watched the film, there's a link to it on his site. Absolutely insane. Just like from all angles, taking what is it, the Berlinetta framework and putting it on a Tesla chassis, and then going through all the details. So it's him and Carlos Color Sponge. Those guys are so they're doing a lot of like congruent building right now of different like the amount of builds they're putting out. Let me see if I can. So this, okay, it's catching up. I mean, it's just nuts, like how how they build these things, like the sort of texture, attention to details, like it's all there. I mean, looking at this from like a 360 perspective, like it's as real as it's gonna feel because I don't know if it's like technically possible to do the Tesla chassis. I wouldn't be surprised if it's fully technically possible, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, so he just sent me if just drag some of these in. Oh, don't. Why would you download a file I already have? Okay, never mind. I'll do some desktop streaming on this one. Hold on, I'm trying. So I can't fit everything on my iPad. So there's like a combined chat. So I don't think anyone's going to be on Twitch yet, but the fact that this is going to both probably isn't bad. But there's like a chat that shows both together. And right now all I can see is YouTube chat. So, oh, speaking of YouTube, like 300 subscribers already, which is wow. So thank you to everyone who subscribed. Always feel free to tell a friend. And if you're not subscribed, you know, click that button and shit. Let's see. Make sure I don't have anything I shouldn't right now. That. I think it's all good. Desktop stream. So yeah, so he basically gave me a folder of different assets to work with, and all of these being very high res, like 302 megs, like. And so this gives me options in terms of cropping, like how I want to do things. I didn't want to go back and ask for different renders. Like if I need a different angle or if like I need extra space, he might have done it, but he's so fucking busy that's like, and plus like, what is it? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Like I just got some of like the wildest renders ever to play around with, and like I'm gonna go back and ask for something different. So, no, not gonna do that. Like these are just ridiculous, and like them being so good, it's like all I have to do is really just like get the fuck out of the way at the end of the day. Like they are so good. Like I'm used to having to like have the design do a lot of hard work, and that's kind of where some not problems, but like I went the wrong direction because that's old habits kicking in. So yeah, I mean, all the chassis breakouts. He gave me some like older stuff. I don't know why these are old. He just iterates, and it's probably something in like the nuanced details that like. Yeah, he told me like there's one thing on one like a recent build where people they looked at the exhaust and how it was routed, and they like found an error in the technicality of like the inlet and outlet of the turbos was not technically correct. And so he actually went in and fixed it and made it right. So that's the kind of level of detail he's fucking working with here. I don't think there's a specific question in the other event talking about some of the assets. So he gave me like a vector pack of like all these different things that he had put together for shirts, for just collateral throughout the movie, and it was kind of like use it if you want it, don't. But again, like very open ended in terms of like what I want to do, and so some of these have include like different like text or like specs that are. I can get into the posters in a second, but they have like the combination of the different specs coming together, because it is kind of like a uniting of two very disparate worlds of like a 70s Ferrari and like a Tesla Model E. So that's something that kind of like fed into the thematic through lines. Thematic? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. The theme. What are these? Oh, so this was actually almost like an afterthought, but there started to be. So if I go on my site, oh, is that gonna work? Sorry, I want to go back real fast. Is this working? Nope. Still sending people to the other one. I did get the whole like back end CMS thing working with these, so I can update them without updating the whole site. I might do that real fast, actually. But that's getting sidetracked. Where was I? So if I'm being entirely honest, like these like the color palettes were all, so from the beginning the color palettes were something that made their way into the designs, but they became like a reference and actually like push things in a different direction. It's it's one of those things I wish I could kind of take credit for in the beginning, but it just like I started just having all these like signature moments in the film that I would screenshot, be like, oh shit, like if I just tweak the palette a little bit, like it feels just in those moments, it feels a bit more aligned to the film. And some of them are like not crazy close, but it's like the kind of neutral greenish palette. Like there's a little tonality to the background, like of this containing box. Um, like the dark silhouetting became a theme, so that kind of helped push things. Let me go back to Chrome browsing in case there's any questions, so I don't just rattle on forever. Yo, what's up, Kevin? Except Pinterest, Dribble, Behance, do you have any other tips for inspiration? Instagram, if you want to brave a lot of shit. I just go on there because I think it's like it's kind of a shit show and you never know what you're going to find, and that's kind of refreshing in some ways, but there's a lot of just depending on how the algorithms kind of pigeonhole you. That's why I do um, the no ISO Instagram account, because I do like to go on there. I think there's a lot of really talented artists on there. So I have that. I have that as one account, but I try to keep it separate from my own because I, like everyone else, enjoy like dumb meme accounts and like golf memes and gaming shit. So it's like it's not the best, but if I go to the explore page on that, I have like a very definitive inspiration board to look at. Sometimes Tumblr, I don't know how to search Tumblr. I end up finding my way. So what I'll do, if I go to Pinterest, depending on some of these, I don't know if there's any on Tumblr. Do people still update Tumblr? I don't. Yeah, Tumblr. So then it'll go to the site. Oh well, this one's gone apparently. But I'll actually go to these different Tumblr blogs, and I think that was something that's super helpful. I do have another. Make sure resources. Yeah, just want to make sure I'm not. So I've collected a couple of different ones. So there's like your usual Site Inspire awards. There's a couple other ones that are maybe a little bit more obscure that I don't know how I found my way to them. Like I don't know what Wow Web is. I don't remember all these. But every once in a while, I'll kind of like take a look through here. I have them organized by like different types and different like mediums, but I don't know. I'd like to say I get inspiration from like cross mediums, and I think I do at a high level, but on a project basis, it's typically whatever's kind of tangential. Like for this, it's like it's dealing with like kind of technical design, like industrial design, it's dealing with like cinematography and color grading and all that kind of thing. So anything that's kind of tangential around that, whether I think the mediums kind of become narrowed in a little bit, but I won't look at like an architectural thing for this unless it's like a technical drawing and there's like little elements I want to pull out, but typically not as much. I need to update these. I don't know like how often. I've been to this for a minute. But you see, there's like a couple different blogs out there doing nice jobs curating. So hopefully that helps. How did you approach typography and placing icons elements for these Evinetta posters? Yeah, I can go through. I should probably pull some of that up. I can't remember what I used. This is all Photoshop for the. Sure. I don't know if I have exports. Maybe it's better just to do JPEGs for now. What is it? cmpdrp.com? Is this right? Nope, I don't know what that is. Comp drop. I almost went to some really weird Japanese website. What is this? Did they change this? What happened? All right. This might not be it. This doesn't look like a great approach. How am I gonna view these? Sorry, this is like where I should have done my homework. Actually, I want to open these up and see what's what. Because usually with these, like my round one posters, I'll just go wide and I'll quickly iterate. And that's why I love Sketch, is like I can just quickly like use artboards and create the visibility into all of them. And I can kind of at a high level just see all of them. In Photoshop, just because I don't use artboards, I just stack things in folders. So that can become kind of problematic. Let's see. So what should I do? If I do Photoshop, it only shows. Yeah, you don't need to see all the different panels. Let me Photoshop. Of course, it doesn't remember. Okay. So I guess I'm trying to think how to answer the typography and placement of icons. It really varied depending on the poster. I think so. This is the one that I thought was the strongest of the bunch, but there's like a couple different variations in terms of like, I don't even know what happened here. So these, I don't know if these are fully intact or not. No, I think I went back and I purged different things. So this is like an idea for like custom typography of like doing the Evinetta titles and like this kind of quasi abstract but like very linear type. It felt almost, it's like inspired by the Blade Runner type, I guess. Is that even what it looks like? I don't fucking know. But something about this was like the reductive nature of it. It is like it's mostly based on an existing font. I think it's just I did a little bit of custom work in terms of like getting the lines extended in some places, masking out some type. I don't know. So this is the original. What's going on here? No, I mean this is actually largely no. It's mostly intact, but this is what it was. And then in order to like quickly convey like motion, I think I just skewed it. So if I take that off, yeah, I mean I just made a smart object out of it and then just skewed it at an angle. Oh shit. Not advisable. like for final, like you can see there's some variability in line widths, like this being a little thicker. I would go back in and repen tool this and make sure it's like proper proportions. But yeah, so this is like round one. Like I don't know what Ash really wants at this point, so I'm kind of just going wide. And for me in this point, it's like I'll get it like 60% of an idea out, but I'll like that last bit of polish that always takes forever. Like I just won't even touch it. Like I know what it could be if this feels right, but I'm not there yet. How it looked was just like different colors. So what's funny is like I don't know why this is showing up in this same file as this, because this was like a very distinct direction, was this sort of like minimal Blade Runner type approach. I have different sizes. It's really strange how all this is one file. I think I messed it up and went back in and tried to put this type treatment over the other image is my guess. But I don't really know. Yeah, this file, no, it's all updated around the same time. So this one, I'm gonna say it's its own direction. Yeah, it's in this next one. Hopefully my computer doesn't melt down with all these large Photoshop files opening TIFFs. We'll see. So this is this one specifically, although there's more gross stuff going on. So that type is, so this is the different specs in like a justified type that started creating just different patterns, because there's a couple things like with displacement, or like they're very specific measurements and how they measure them out. It started just creating rhythm to like the different tech specs. And it was more of like an ambient texture than anything. It was not something I wanted people to read, but it would be kind of nice. Like if people really wanted to dig into it and make sense of it, they could. But it was just like this kind of auxiliary texture, playing into some of like the technical aspects of. I can't remember. There's like one screen in the beginning. Let's see if I can find it. Go. I think I'm in the right window. I don't know what's going to show up here. Yeah, so there's like all these like little technical bits. There's like throughout different moments of the film, you can see like a heads up display that was entirely designed. Although it's incredible how little was actually shown of it. And I think his Behance actually shows more, which is pretty wild. So yeah, you can see like there's like a technical component to it. It's like right around that part of the film where it's out in the field. I want to say he shows like all of it. I mean, I'd seen some of these graphics kind of coming in, so knowing the type treatment of Evinetta itself in that like the old like Gothic font, that was his sort of vibe. So I definitely tried to play off that, the aggressive use of red, all just like through lines and themes that I in the first phase decided to kind of like latch onto, and then some of them I was just like, all right, I want to take these entirely different direction and latch onto different aspects of the build. Let's see if I go back at these, reorganizing my Stream Deck. Wait, yeah. Let's see. I hope these are all in here. I have no idea what's gonna happen. Apparently, I made a duplicate of the same exact file. So okay, so I have like V1 was this sort of type, and then V2 came to something like this is the first one, so it's 2.1 is this, and it started playing around with the idea of vertical type, just as like a stronger element, and there wasn't anything that like super crazy. It was just like if we're gonna do portrait posters, which I think for me portrait is probably the ideal aspect ratio for posters versus doing like a landscape one. There's a couple landscape ones, but for me, I always gravitated towards these vertical ones. And it was as simple as like, how do I get the type bigger, and how do I get it of like equal balance to the car in the background? Well, you turn it on its side, and then it started feeling like this kind of nice, like with the font, it's being very consistent and very like. Is this gonna show up? I can't even see on the stream. Sorry, I'm trying to check to see if like cursors show up. It does. Sorry, I'm learning. um, so like yeah, like the rhythm through here is just like these like very strong repetitive lines, and it's I don't know. I think it kind of makes a nice visual. The consistency of these. And I mean, you have just the same in landscape, but for some reason it feels more pronounced in the vertical. So that was something I latched onto. Um, so then looking at like different overlaps, how do I bring in um, some of the visual elements in a more interesting way? Because it just felt a little flat. So that was the next evolution was like, okay, this is not bad, it works, but it's like, how do we make it more dynamic? Okay, get into a little overlap and using this as almost like a solid element to then offset. So this line being roughly center to like the thickness of the E. And then again, looking at balance, kind of just, I don't know, create that. But again, like it's not, like this spacing is not consistent with this spacing. So it was more just like a feel thing. Like I'm really trying to work fast when I do these. And then I said, okay, I have to balance, and I just said, fuck it, like let's see what something like imbalance feels like. And I never could fully rectify this in terms of it feeling right. Like I think it's more dynamic, but it's not. I don't think it's right. Again, looking at like what's the hierarchy here, like I love this logo he made or this icon he made with like the Ferrari and like the old lightning bolts there. So how do I bring that in? It's like maybe, I mean, keeping this like all the icons down here in a consistent lockup with MHC is, so that's his Make Haste Corp. That's the overarching brand, and keeping that in there. So that was kind of this version. And so I don't know if it's more helpful for me to like go through different phases of like, okay, this is like the ideation phase, this is what came out, or if it's like tracking the genesis of something from start to finish. Like, is it better that I then go to like the final version of a poster? Because some of them didn't really deviate too far, but yeah, I don't know if that's something worth checking out or worth structuring it that way. That's the word. Oh man, it's getting hot in here. I just installed an air conditioner, and it's like one of those little portable ones you roll around, and I'm feeling it's gonna be super fucking annoying. So I might test it, do like I have to test like the multi-stream thing a little bit. I might do some sound checks on air conditioning because it's getting fucking hot. Yeah, this is one that like immediately was trashed. like like almost immediately. Um there really wasn't a great thought to it. I think with like house, oh not nope nope. Like how elongated the form is and like the profile of the car and the hard shadow and it being like a perfectly side angle, it felt like almost like a vertical divider. So if I start splitting this up into like, okay, this is like the studio shot and this is like the name. And I don't know why I had this idea of like a burnout mark. I really can't tell you. Part of me loves it and part of me just hates it. Like, I think there's a better application for it. Probably in a much more subtle way. But again, like this is ideation phase, so it's like, okay, doesn't matter. Like, let's get ideas across. Then just looked at like different color blocking, but then like really reinforcing that separation. But what I started to just quickly see is like it doesn't really do well with the car um, in terms of it's sitting nicely. Like if you have it like right on, it feels like you're kind of cutting it off. but it should be a little bit off, but I don't have that shadow there. And arguably, like what I could have done is, I could probably do it right now, is just sample this, make a size, small brush, a little bigger, and just like quickly created the shadow extension. Oh, it's snapping to everything right now. Oh, let's just do this. Mask. Oh, much. So, like, I could have done it, but then again, like, you're left with this sort of gap in here, which is just strange to me. I mean, the other thought, I don't know if it's in one of the explorations, but what I'm thinking right now, nope, that is definitely not. But it's like just centering it in this space right here. So it's like this balance of opposites. But to me, like this kind of loses its visual interest pretty quickly. And the branding of the car is really not what people are interested in at the end of the day when they're buying posters. So it's like, let's just scrap that. I don't know what I was thinking when I did this. It was like getting into like the technical aspect to it, doing a little like offset, messing around with different color palettes, different typography. I mean, you can see very crudely done with like find outlines. Like there's a lot of just different little like Photoshop techniques you can do to achieve that. Wasn't really feeling it. So that was kind of a quick pivot. Like I don't know how that got there. And then yeah, I don't know what the fuck that's about. So this is one of those just didn't work. Outside maybe this one maybe sans this like senseless burnout. And even within here, I have a lot of different variations. What's this type? A lot of type. So apparently I was looking at, oh, I think what I was thinking of was, oh, there's some weird, what are you doing in here? I don't remember that. Oh, creating a like big horizon line. What are these different type treatments? Yeah, I had thoughts of like really just like making it a design element within the broader space, but just never really felt great. And then it's like, what the fuck am I gonna say? Like, I don't have a lot to say about a poster, so I could make a case that like this could be kind of nice as like a purely visual thing, but you're covering up the build. It's yeah, it's not great. Moving on. So one of the few landscape ones. Yeah, something about like the color palette. There's like a little bit of yellow tonality throughout the car. I try not to mess with like the grade on the car, but I think this one actually has a blend mode applied to it, so it's like pulling in some of the background colors. Unless I want really stylistic, but you can see like it's done quickly. Like there's a full like hard block here. I can't remember what that is, but it's somewhere in the blend modes. Like things are just going sideways. So yeah, it's. I think the color palette works. I think the layering kind of worked, but I never was really in love with the type. Looking at different technical aspects to it, but again, nothing really like finding that I'm that happy with. And I put outline text, and this might be like one of the only times I've ever done outline text. I'm not a fan. I don't know why. I think I've done it, yeah, maybe like 2 or 3 times, but it's not something that I've ever gotten into. Each their own. But it felt like there's a race component of it that I think it feels right at home with. can get rid of this. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't even hide the last window. It'll still show it. So this one, I mean, arguably one of the most simple ones on here, but maybe one of my favorite. I really wish there was a better way of displaying this. I do full screen. That. Oh, it's frozen? What? Okay, hold on. It's not updating Photoshop. No, don't show that. Well, there you go. You know what time it is. There we go. Now it's just going to like go on and off. Is this really relevant? I feel like there's more. I'm looking at a couple other things. I mean, there's actually a decent like bird's eye view. I just drop this in here, see if it will work. Yeah, so this is like at some points I would just do like check-ins and organize my windows and just take a screenshot of like, okay, here's everything that I'm looking at right now. Do I feel like I'm providing enough range? Do I feel like yeah, am I hitting the right vibe in general, or anything I'm gravitating towards? Because there wasn't like an agreed upon number of posters that we were going to do. It was just like told me to go nuts, and whatever I came back with and we were both liking, like that's kind of what we'd go with. So this is like I consolidated my windows, took a screenshot. I think I sent this to him as like a work in progress of like, because I didn't send anything for a while, and I was like, hey, I'm actually working on that thing I said I was going to work on, so don't worry. And if you have any questions or anything, let me know. I know something that was kind of requested, but how I talk about it, I don't know if I'm just boring you guys to death with kind of how my brain worked on this, but because I didn't have the time to go back in and really think about this. So that was one that, let's see. I like font explorations. What's this? Apparently I have a ton of font explorations. Oh good, they're all stacked. That's fun. I don't know what. Why are these all in the same spot? No, you just never know sometimes. Well, I did font explorations. I don't know why they're still here in the folder. But I like pretty quickly gravitated towards like old style grotesques. Like more of like like if I'm gonna go this simple in terms of like a poster layout, I thought like a traditional like Bauhaus type poster felt appropriate. What the colors were like, so this is before I really made a point to attach the colors to the actual film. I think subconsciously I did it. I don't know if I should give myself that much credit, but like this being some of like the sun or close to the sunrise ones, but yeah, just again, like if you're thinking about this as a car poster, this starts feeling too complicated, too like people aren't really interested in the fact that it's named Evinetta. I think it's like a factor, but you like it's again thinking of like the hierarchy of what people want to buy these posters for. And it wasn't like the lens isn't always like what's going to sell. It's I think it it should be. I think it would be rad for people to want to buy these and for it to be on someone's wall. Like I saw like someone on Twitter posted up they had one of them on their wall, and it was like that's pretty fucking sweet. But like if I just do my own thing and like yeah maybe it's creatively gratifying, but if the hierarchy's all wrong, then it's kind of just it's a wasted opportunity to me. Like I want something that makes sense. Like I want like if it sells and it's promoting the film, like this is again all laddering back up to like helping Ash out and just kind of supplementally promote the film. And for me, it's just like creatively just getting to do whatever the fuck I want around something I'm super passionate about. Like anything automotive, like I'm in. Um, so when it came, we talked about this one. Like it was a fuck yeah. So what sucks is I can't. Well, so this is the original image, and so looking at some curves. I can't remember why I brushed. Oh, I think I was flattening it out a little bit, but I didn't want to flatten out the highlights in the top. And then adding some levels to then kind of again condense the, um, the values of it, and then adding the gradient, which is man, I can't show the panels. I don't know. I really wish it was like a full Adobe broadcast mode. Unless I just go. It's really not that important, but what the hell? Why not? Nope. Nope. Yep. Okay. So yeah, like gradient masks, I think are super fun to play around with, and you can do a lot in like in terms of like subtly changing color grade, or if you want to go really hard, like on this one, um, kind of just come up with some weird palettes, and then you start shifting at like what points they are applied. So I could make this more purple, which to me, like this actually feels better than what I had it originally, if I'm being entirely honest. Like it feels more subdued, but like I don't think subdued is what I'm actually really going for here. Like to me, actually, this feels better coming back into it. But again, this wasn't like I'm not getting these all dialed. It's just getting it close, getting a vibe. Apparently, I have old gradient maps. I have multiple applied. That's why. So I have that one. Doing like a green, red. I don't know why. I do rather like this one. This like because it gets back into like my photo, like how I edit my photos personally is like I like upping the reds and the shadows. I mean, more balance, more whatever. But I think it works pretty well there. So I'll do that. Like if I have things I'm iterating on, I'll just create folders and just kind of dump them in there and see. All right, maybe there's something I come back to, change taste. But for like the overall design, like okay, so I didn't think that one was right. And you can see the folder structure now. I think. Oh, you lucky dogs! You guys lost me. I've been having a lot of issues with camera. Hey, back. Not that that's that important. Different elements. I go back to Photoshop. And again, if there's anything you want to kind of dive into more, for sure, let me know. Matt, late to the party. Hey, all good. I did my best to throw everyone off with this stream, and I apologize. There might be some people still waiting in the other room, which I actually want to see if I go into like my studio on YouTube. content live. Well, there's no poor souls waiting. Apparently there's 8 people waiting. Sorry. Hold on, let me turn off desktop audio. Desktop audio is not even on. What happened? Oh, I'll mute it for now. Okay. I'm just going to post a link in the other video real fast for all these poor souls. Okay. Maybe they have a chance. I don't know. Hopefully. But yeah, so people are just showing up on Twitch now. I'm going to try out. Didn't commit to a full year of doing like the Streamlabs Prime, but I think it's going to be interesting to see what the value is, because I think there's a lot of different streaming tools that are better for Twitch, but yeah, we'll get back into that. Let's see. There was a question. Yeah, there's like 8 people in there. I checked in on earlier, like, because I couldn't change the time, and then when I just did the Streamlabs Prime right before this, so I literally I didn't test to see if, like, could I use the existing event that I created, but apparently I can't. So sorry to everyone who had to kind of navigate that bullshit. That's my bad. I should have it figured out going ahead. So if you are waiting for a stream, like, it should show up. But I actually don't know if I can schedule streams now. Like if I, yeah, I won't bore you with the detail. But the assets I was given, yeah, I went through that real quickly, but I can pop back in. Let's see, do desktop streaming. So, I mean, he gave me the film for me to look at. I don't know how loud this is going to be. I'm kind of scared, but let's just go with it. I haven't played it, so I figured I might as well play it now. So it's a short film, 2 minutes. Yep, there you go. Yeah, I mean, that thing's so fucking well done. So from that, I did grab some frame grabs, but there's a lot of just like stock angles, different crops. There's a lot more that he rendered out. I don't know how he chose these. I think he probably did some curating in terms of like what he thought would make the most sense. I don't even know what EXR is, but like some of these images, like just silly. And then some of these graphics, like you saw on the end screen, I think some other stuff he was playing around with that ended up being on the t-shirts. I don't want to show too much of like his process. That's not something I've like. That's the only thing I have, and I don't know if that's quite out, but I definitely don't want to like he goes into all the process that he went through, which is exhaustive on his Behance. Let me put that in the chat as well. Let me go back to Photoshop. Yeah, so that's the case study on Behance. But yeah, like, so he sent me the film, he sent me the assets, and really just said go nuts. Like, I like wanted to press him for any sort of anything he had in mind, but he had been familiar with some of my work, and he just wanted me to put my own spin on it at the end of the day, which is awesome. But like working with someone like Ash, who I've looked up to forever, given a project with no guardrails, it's kind of stressful. Like, and I don't think I ever told him that, but and it's like something that's self-imposed for me. It's like I almost operate better with containment of like, okay, I can rule all this crazy shit out. Like that's not what he's looking for. Like this is the wheelhouse I should be in. Granted, like if I go off of the film and the assets, it does narrow things down quite a bit. But it wasn't like a vibe thing. Like I wanted to feel like technical. I wanted to feel like I want to use these colors. I want like lean into this theme. It was like literally nothing. So like he made a point not to be prescriptive on what he wanted to see. So yeah, love it. And it was also really difficult. Well, I don't think I'll get a lot of sympathy for that. But yeah, so this one, this is one of the other explorations. I feel like there's so many more. So as I'm going, I'll also trim the fat on some of these and just be like, that's not working. Looking at different colors. This is some of the other variations. So this is like the Swiss minimalist poster. Like, how minimal can I go? And I think he and I really like this one, but he was definitely not a fan of the overlap here and some of this additional typography. Like the final version has those all stripped out. So it's just like this kind of base level icons, like the scales adjust a little bit, but it's more or less that. With this font, which I think I was asked before and I didn't really say anything about it. So it's Gerstner Program, which I believe was like I looked it up because I wanted something like from the time period of the original Berlinetta 512. And it's not perfect, but it's like close to I think when it came out. Because Gerstner Program, I believe, is maybe I should just look instead of like trying to pretend like I know. Gerstner Program font. And I try not to say what font I'm using, but I don't know. I thought this was kind of a fun thing with it. Let me Chrome browsing. Yeah, so I think this is the original. It's like Carl Gerstner. So it's this German font, which I mean, ideally it'd be Italian font, but I don't know how many Italian. I can't name a ton of like Italian foundries from that time. I know Germany was kind of leading the way, but like it's a beautiful font, and it's I mean, I think it's biased now because it's like this style of font has been. It's always been like since these kind of came out, they've remained popular. But I think there's kind of been a resurgence of these sort of grotesque type fonts. Um, it works great for technical aspects. And yeah, it was from the era, which was just like kind of bonus points and solidified. Like this one feels the right one. So that's the font that was used there. I love that one. I try not to overuse it, but yeah. So that was pretty much this one. Pretty straightforward. It was just colors and like that overlap, and I really love that overlap. So like when he came back and was like, nah, like not really feeling it. That was kind of a bummer. I really liked it. Let's see. So there was this one. For how this started and why these are all paired together. I got weird. I won't lie. It's kind of embarrassing showing these, but what are you gonna do? Like, I can't remember what I was doing, but this angle was like an accident. I didn't see it and think, at least I don't think so. I believe I was like doing something with like rotating the canvas and trying to mask something. And I just kind of resolved on this sort of like angle. And I was like, shit, that like almost kind of feels nice the way it like it splits the top. Oh, you're not even, fuck, you're not looking at it. Fuck, it's not updated. Gonna go back to Clocker for a second. That's fun. Okay, this one. I'll recreate my little stupid rotation. But yeah, it was like, so for me, when I use the tablet, it's super helpful for me to rotate the canvas. Just because of the way like your wrist will sit, it's easier to draw like fluid lines versus like kind of trying to do a like a lobster claw grip rotate in and like, yeah, great visual. But that doesn't work. You can end up with like jagged lines. Like this way you can kind of just like slide across wherever. There's like a little thumbnail of like, it's on a slight delay, so I just see that motion. It's really fucking great. So then I like latched onto that as something I was feeling good about. I forgot, there's like other stuff within these folders. So I looked at like vertical type. There's like a grid element I was playing around with. So this actually came about in a different form later. But then it was just like, all right, I'll play around with like very minimalist posters and kind of lean into like this big studio space and see what kind of comes out. And I don't know why I came up with these. Like the color's not really. It should be a Ferrari red, all things considered, but I think I had a kick. Like I don't know. Like there was this kind of this. I hate to say I'm like chasing trends, but these like kind of harsh gradients like this. I'd seen something kind of similar done, and it was like it's kind of interesting as like a poster element. The grid makes no fucking sense whatsoever. There's no payoff on that. But that's like for me, this is where like I don't feel afraid to do this shit, even if I'm pretty sure it's gonna suck. Like I'll still kind of chase it down and be like, all right, like even this font, like I had no expectations it was gonna work. It was just kind of like through my font exploration, this is kind of what I found. And as I'm thinking about it, I think I skipped over some stuff. Okay. So I think I'll be able to manage my tabs now. There's some other like Swiss design. Sorry to kind of jump back and forth. Again, just like trying to keep it minimal, like what makes the most sense. I think this is Lucene. Yeah. Still have a full family. Buy that. Yeah, I can't remember what the thinking was with this masking and the idea of like showing both the chassis speaks to like the modern component and then the exterior being very minimal. And again, it should be on pretty strict uh, grid layout, but again, it was one of those things like, eh, like the car is beautiful and it conveys the multi-faceted approach, but it's like if I'm really thinking about the project, like is this the poster that I think represents it? Like not quite. Um, oh, and the grid, I forgot. That was something that he sent over in that initial like Illustrator file. So that's kind of why that starts showing up, because I would just import all the elements and just see like just start dragging stuff around. Go nuts! Wish all clients gave that brief. Yeah, seriously, like um, it's not something I hear very often. If I'm being honest, um, I'm hoping to hear it more and more, but it's like even when I hear that now, like I would still like a little bit of guidance and input in terms of what feels right. Um, just with how I work, like I think because I'm so iterative and I don't have a clear vision of what I'm doing up front, like without guardrails, like anything's possible. I started looking at a very minimal approach. This was just like I want to try it, like something that's like feels like a magazine spread, but this felt like Vogue or some like fashion brand just because of this font. But then even with the font, like I was just kind of, it doesn't seem right. And I think this is the one I actually sent over to him, just like very reductive. I think he liked it as like a spread, but it's not something like as a poster that really makes a ton of sense. I don't know. Is this too boring? like, I'm like I don't know if I'm just boring people to tears right now. I can try and be quicker. I need to get that off my screen as often as possible. This one kind of like a more dynamic-ish type Swiss poster. Bits of overlap, kind of like the gridded approach, like kind of boxing things in. Like this all feels like more designy and not so much like edification of the car. So we can move on from that pretty quickly. I actually really like that, but just in terms of like this purpose of this, like it doesn't feel quite right. So this is one of the ones that messing around with the different texture of the stats, how you bring the type in. I looked at all sorts of. I went through like a lot of type explorations on this. And like how I treat it. I was always partial to having glows. Ash didn't want any glows. Every time I put a glow in, he's like, just get rid of that. And we're good. And it. Apparently this is vertical type, but I don't see. Uh-oh. These are embarrassing. Yeah. I mean, this is where like not having a plan gets you sometimes. Not great places. The serif just didn't feel right at the end of the day. Like to me, this font, I don't know what this font is, if I'm being entirely honest. Content. There's like my layers just went to shit. I think this is Optician Sands. Never was like really sold that it was good, but nothing else looked good either. like With this one, I literally just got to a point of like, you know what, this is pretty good. It's not great. It almost looks like Bank Gothic if you squint your eyes, which is not a good comparison. So yeah, it's just like, it feels like the film. It doesn't entirely feel right, but let's just fucking go with it. Yeah, don't need to show that again. That's embarrassing. Let's keep moving. I skipped one. I know. Some of these are like really not the most interesting ones. So again, trying to show range of like, okay, we have the more complex ones that are a little more crazy. What if we just go like really minimal? Look at simple overlaps, different color palettes, different typography, different crops. Really trying to just cover off the gamut of things. And each of them I thought had some semblance of promise, but ultimately like didn't quite feel that they're really hitting the mark. I don't even know where. Why is the background red, and where did I get those graphics from? So what I'll do, like full transparency, is like I will lift assets and graphics from people online. If it's for like, let me finish that so it's not taken out of context, like for the purpose of crafting an art direction. Like I need to convey an idea of like, okay, there's going to be like technical graphics on top of it. Instead of me wasting my time like creating perfect graphics and something that like is exactly to what I'm trying to do, it's just like get the idea across. So I'm pretty sure, I don't remember what this is. Yeah. So I think I found like some of these. There's like a bunch of line drawings that I felt added like a nice texture. It felt like it was in the wheelhouse of kind of what Ash does. No expectation of ever going to print with this or like this is going to be a final direction. It's like my goal is sending this over to Ash for him to kind of get eyes on and feel and kind of weed through things and what I mean, his eye is clearly much better than mine. So, and he knows that project way better. He's been doing it forever. And see Evinetta. It's fun. Helps when you spell things correctly. And again, a lot of these were like just excuses to mess around with fonts that I haven't had the chance to play with. The layout being just whatever. This. What is this? What are you doing? Like going through these files sometimes, I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. There's literally no line of logic through that, and what you can do. Save, and then it's gonna work. Yeah, looking at a different way. Oh my god, there's a lot of iterations of this. Well, let's start at the beginning. See where this went. I don't like. This is terrible. God awful. Those are so fucking embarrassing. Oh my god. Oh. Looking at color blocking, different type. I think there's some elements of this font that I just really wanted to bring out. It felt nice, but again, like this is unresolved. Like this feels very strange. Ideally, this is something that would line up and probably span this. But again, just trying to do quick iterations. Like there's 13 folders in here of different directions. So these are like very quick. Like I just want to get some ideas across. Again, through the lens of like this kind of organic, minimal but organic poster. That's kind of like what I'm thinking through this. I don't remember that at all. Huh. What are you gonna do? Not terribly mad at that. Can't read it for shit, but that's not an E. What happened? Disable. Yeah, they are made out of E's, but it's just masking out conveniently. I think it made an X at one point. Where I could maybe get on board with that, but it was just, it's too much of a reach. So like that's marked. So I have my folders. If I go, so you could, oh, it's gone. You could see all the different iterations, and I'll go through and I'll color. Can you see my cursor? Yeah, you can. You can see like the different color markings, and typically this is how it works. Is like the beginning ones are usually pretty much dog shit. Sometimes there's an idea that like right off the bat just sticks, and like I'll iterate off of it and I'll actually go backwards on it, which is not great. But it happens, and like that's the only way you're gonna find out that like you're moving in the right direction is to move in the wrong direction, and that's probably like a, I don't know, cheesy saying someone's Twitter, but yeah, like that's the only way you're gonna find out. So I've just, wow, is that really over the transition? Huh. It's kind of loud. Streamlabs. Yeah, so we'll just go through looking at just different type treatments, whether like it's a 50-50 balance. You can kind of create some variability there, different colors, excuse me. Getting very reductive, leaning into the white space is kind of like a aggressive approach. And I think what's interesting is, so Ash didn't show me any of the posters he had worked on. I actually don't even know if I knew he worked on posters. But I think he kind of went more this way, which I think was interesting. But I think some of these he definitely started gravitating towards as well. I think because they were closer to his aesthetic. I think when it comes to like, it's very interesting. Like when he does a lot of his motion stuff, it's very complex. It is just like, there's tons of metadata everywhere. There's a lot of like UI elements all over the place. But when it comes to like more like graphic and poster design, it's very minimal. So that's kind of what ended up going forward, was leaning towards more like the simple approach. So something like this, I think he really like was gravitating towards. This one was just like nuts. Type's too big for all the textures. Again, like the actual texture isn't right. Like I times I did include it, I cleaned it up a little bit, but again, this is like round one. I'm just trying to like get ideas across more than anything. I had this idea and I just never could get it to stick, and it just felt kind of try hard of like the 512S, and it just being like the 5 character that just gets mirrored in like this grid sort of layout. I liked it. But it's like one of those things that's like non-essential information. Like, yeah, it says 512, but you don't really need to know. It's kind of a large graphic element, but it's a little try hard, is the way I would put it. And then this one, nothing to write home about. All right, let's save. So that was round one, and he had his feedback, and I can't really get into what he was saying. Like he and I had a conversation, just keep it at a high level. I don't want to go spilling the beans, so to speak. I don't know what to say. One of my many dadisms, like if you stick around long enough, you'll hear me just rattle on some bullshit about like, that's the way the cookie crumbles, and I don't know, whatever the fuck that is. Like, it's just got to accept me for who I am, I guess, at this point. I can do desktop streaming for these because I don't even know. I'll pull this first one up to see if there's still iterations in here or if I'd kind of narrowed down. Yeah, so I got into like different treatments. So this was based off of like he liked the general direction of this one. Actually, I don't know if this was in the original. Let's see if I can move this a little bit. Yeah, so it was cropping off the bottom, which is not great. Yeah, so like this sort of lockup, like the minimal poster with like the logo overlapping there. I kept trying to push it towards like this projection style, just because that's my personal bias. I love just like great. Kids pogo sticking outside, so it'll be trash day tomorrow if I'm streaming, so you get it all. But like bringing in the glows, bringing in like I don't know if I got so far. I did. Where is it? So I actually went through and displaced. So I created a displacement map based on the contours of the car, and then just applied that to this. So it would feel more like a projection based on like, so projection mapping works by, it'll just move the pixels based on the brightness of the pixels underneath it. So essentially you create a black and white image, which this almost is. And if, depending how pronounced you want it, you make it higher or lower contrast. The higher the contrast, the kind of the steeper the variability is. So the more pronounced the effect will be. And there's different parameters within Photoshop that you can kind of control and alter. And for me, it's not an exact science. Like I don't really know the best way. Like I kind of like guess and check. Like it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like you have to load up the displacement map every time, which is a separate PSD file. And yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I don't do it enough to really know exactly like what the determining factors are for it to consistently work, but I know the process, so this was like, fuck it, I'll try it here, see if it works, and it kind of helped, but let's see, I don't know why this one's committed to more. So the displacement logo is at like 20%, so it's more of like a texture. Yeah, it's kind of not great in its current state. But yeah, that was like one direction, and I think I was like looking at light, so you can see like the glows it's being affected, and that's something like Ash immediately just was like, get rid of that. It's like I like where this is going. Let's simplify. Let's make it a flat graphic. Get rid of the glow, and it's good. And then this down below, I wonder if I just pop into the final of this one. It kind of got weird with that little detail. Where is it? Oh, here it is. And again, like any questions, comments, feel free. I know it's just me rambling. This guy down here. I can't remember, but there's a full system behind like how this works. The grid, or how did I structure this? Apparently I moved it up top on this one. So I was looking at different ways of making it kind of like cryptic in terms of like one of those things that's not like a dead giveaway in terms of like, sorry, all I can hear is this kid pogo sticking outside. They're really good. Which is not good. um, yeah, it's kind of like the traditional code type thing, like where you have like picking out different characters, and I don't know if I messed around with like how it. Why is that? They're all over the place. So whether there were multiple grids of it, how dense the grid was, how much was shown. Yeah, so this got into like even weirder details in terms of like, I can't remember, BERR. Oh, it's missing one. Wait. BER. Oh, it should be Berlinetta in like the smaller ones, and then Evinetta in the larger ones. Which I think this is like the foundation for what ended up with here. Oh, don't move that. So I got rid of like I think like, where is it? This one just kind of like was too complex, and it maybe made it too obvious in some ways. So it was like, all right, let's go. Like it's on a grid. I don't need people to know it's on a grid, but there's a system behind like the larger and the smaller. Because Evinetta is like kind of like, that's the name of the project that's more prominent. And Berlinetta is kind of like this meta, but it's just done in a way that's just kind of organic. And I don't know, like if it's non-essential information, I don't always feel like I need to give away information. I believe in like exploration, and like at worst it's like an organic type grid and it kind of makes sense. Maybe not. Um, I went back and forth on whether or not that felt like too just like overly designed and like doing it for my own sort of pleasure. Like it doesn't really fit this sort of use case, but um, yeah, it's it's fun. I don't know, but you can see like, so this is the final version with the I put a slight blur on it. Sorry, Ash, don't be mad at me. Yeah, I put a slight blur. Just because like with all this imagery, I mean the fucking details in this thing is crazy. And it is pretty fucking sharp, but like everything's always got like a soft edge to it. So if you want, for me, if I want something to feel believable and it's kind of like it doesn't feel pasted on, like I'll just do very subtle like 1 pixel blurs or half pixel. I don't know what it is on this. Like this is 0.8 pixel blur on it, and then 90% opacity. So again, it's all about like kind of inheriting what's around it versus just like pasting something on top. And there's definitely times to paste it on top, but this felt like a moment where it should feel kind of ingrained into the poster. Don't save. Should check out AE for doing displacements. It's all real time and non-destructive, both the changes on the driving map and the parameters of the displacement. So that's what I've heard. I think I've done like 1 or 2 displacement maps way back in the day in terms of, I did like a proof of concept just to show like displacement maps for a site and how that could animate. But I do want to do more with that. I think there's a lot of potential. As I'm doing more motion, I mean I love just like distorting things and blurring things. So I'll definitely have to give that a look. I feel like I'm just like belaboring all of this. Let me see if there's anything else worth pointing out with the posters. There was this one that kind of came out of the angled approach. I liked it. Ash didn't. He immediately was like, "No, doesn't feel right." Which I get. I messed around with some different ideas in terms of doing like oil slick type shit. Whether it's more simple. Oh, no. I don't know why. I don't know what this is. I think this is one of those like late night things where it's just like, fuck it, like let's go nuts, see what happens. And like in terms of like a poster, I was thinking it was like you see a lot of that like foil paper people do. It looks like oil slicks, like done properly with this sort of like cutout. It could be kind of nice. But Ash is the one, he came up with the idea for. Somehow he saw that and he had the idea, like he loved the crop, but he wanted it like kind of breaking outside. And so this was entirely his thinking of um, like how to create like more depth and dynamic layout to it. Um, I never really could figure out was like the shadows. I'm like, should the shadows stay within or go outside? And I just kind of said, fuck it after a while. Got those. There's a couple of final ones. The exports, final. I mean, the website was kind of whatever. I don't know if that's, I mean, that was definitely part of it, but I never felt like it was a huge component. It was just like, I wanted a place to show it, so fuck it, like, I'll make something real fast. Especially because my site at that point was a mess. You could argue it still is, but um, yeah, I just took it as an opportunity to make a microsite for it. I go. So I mean, it's really pretty simple, all things considered. I broke some things. There was like an anchor nav here that it still works. But it took me way longer than it should have, mostly because I kept changing my mind on how it should work. I think I came up with the poster presentation for this, and now like I've kind of adopted it for how I want to present all my prints. By showing from originals, mockups. Yeah, so these are fun. They're all 1 gig. So I like started using it for my own personal projects. I think I talked about it before how this was all made. And so this is just like there's some imagery built in. There's some I mean it's primarily shapes. So metal holder. Oh, you can't see that. Good. Doing great. So this guy. So primarily built out of shapes with textures on top of it. So again, oh yeah, okay, some desktop stream. So the clamp apparently is this. So the idea of like in my head of how this worked was like it's 2 metal plates, and then you just have like padding in between them, and so the print sits below these bolts, like down here. And so theoretically, you could just clamp it on and like have the paper print within that without having to like puncture it. But it actually work? I don't know. It seems kind of possible. But that was the thinking behind it. Nuts and bolts. Okay, so I created the bolts. These are, can't spell nuts without a Z. I mean, come on. Applying, what is this? These different textures. Yeah, a couple different textures. So if I unlink that, It's just like little bits of wear, kind of organic nature to it. Some things didn't quite work. And then created the bolt. So there's like the bolt top, and this is all done with layer effects. So everything's non-destructive. I can go back and edit it. That's kind of the idea. And then if I know I'm going to have multiple bolts, make a smart object out of it, and you can just, if I update one, it updates them all. Yeah. Oh, I could show, there's a couple other things I looked at in terms of, let me go back. Oh, there. So then the last part, so this was part of the presentation of it. All right, still not bugging out. Shit, I don't know. I have duplicates of all these. Oh, the other part of the process for showing those images was like, so I made the base shapes and I kind of created the environment in Photoshop, but then I did all of the aesthetic, like the film grain, the halation, the camera softness, all through DaVinci Resolve. Which I'm trying to find where the, let's see, web. Okay. Desktop real fast. Somehow all my transitions moved down. I don't know how. All my order got messed up. But you can see like the softness, like if you add the film grain to it, takes out some of the imperfections in the masking. Like this is kind of punched in a little bit. But you could see like some of the imperfections come through. The camera aspect of it helps soften a lot of like the compositing techniques. And so what I can do is I can just go into DaVinci Resolve, just update the image and apply the same color grading to it and kind of have like this consistent approach to it. So it's replicatable across like all the different posters. And I got into like, and you can see, I mean, some of the halation showing up maybe in places it shouldn't be, but that's just kind of the technique of quasi film emulation. It's not really film emulation. The other part was the social. Yeah, so doing like mock-ups of like, all right, so we have the posters, how am I going to present them? I was like, all right, maybe it's like a poster board thing. Didn't quite feel right. I mean, messed around with it. What's the other ones? Like a teaser. How do you just play with light? Because that's kind of like a lot of the edge lighting throughout the film. So thematically, how do you bring that into something like the posters? I created a full sketch file of, I believe there's symbols. And so if I update one, it updates them all, but I don't know if that's entirely accurate. So again, looking at how all this stuff lives across different social channels, because I tweeted this out, Instagram stories, Instagram posts, and then wanted something for Ash too, in terms of like making it easy for him. So when he doesn't have to like recrop my assets or my posters, like he can just get it and be like, all right, like one, in general, it feels kind of on brand for him. And two, it's just like, it's less work for him because dude's always fucking working. He doesn't need anything else on his plate. And it was like downloading templates, and I was like, no. Really nice template, like all the reflections and shit. They did a nice job. But it just didn't. It felt like a missed opportunity to not like go in and just create my own space. So there are a couple of others I can't. I don't know. Oh, these are some of the mock-ups. Okay. Pass. Oh, here's like the DaVinci process. So this is like my film emulation that I used on some photos for a while. Great testing ground to then apply to this. I think that's it. There was more explorations I did. So like how to present this. See if this works. Oh, yeah. So I played around with the idea of it being like a bus stop. Master adjustments are. Yeah, I did some like color correction, but like the idea of it being like a digital display to show the posters as a teaser, and then like the screens were kicked in. Awfully dark on my screen right now. Yeah, kind of holds up. But again, like trying to own this end to end, and like I think being able to bank on like different shit I've done in the past has kind of been helpful to not be dependent, because I think in some of these cases in the past I'd have to like ask someone for help with something, or like thankfully I don't have to do any animation on this. Like that would have, I can do it. It's just I'm slow and I do it by hand, so not the greatest. But yeah. Oh, excuse me. This is all like part of the process of this one. So, yeah. I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants me to touch on with that one. I don't know if I really have a plan after this. I might have to bounce. Still trying to. Sorry. Yeah, trying to figure a couple things out. Yeah, I've got like a list of things, random tasks I need to do. Part of it's like designing the, like I was saying, like the announcements in Streamlabs. But that could be a struggle for a little bit. I don't know if that's really if that's the answer or not. Went through and closing all these. Computer's running hot right now. What do I do? There's font stuff I need to do. There's Streamlabs. Things I have to create the schedule. I want to make like a different schedule layout, something I could reuse, but I haven't had the chance to do that yet. Yeah, I don't know. Guess I'll just open it up, try and think about what I could possibly use this time for. I mean, there's always my site. There's always something I want to do, but I don't know. There's a chance. It still sucks. Still sending people there. That's always good. So what I can do right now, actually, if I go, let's go ahead and just turned off audio, so you don't have to hear. Just turned off audio, so you don't have to hear. hate hearing my own voice. So I'm pulling up like the stream ID. So what I can do now, so if I go into my notifications, I have live stream. So I just need the stream ID, paste it. This was all right. This isn't right. This would be, copy this. Oh, is this gonna be right? I don't care about the short link. Like this would ideally match the stream ID, but apparently it doesn't. Oh no, so I want to go, not save, I want to publish. So it's published right now. So if I go back and go to the home page, didn't get the right idea, I guess. Okay, copy or embed. There's got to be a better way of doing this. Oh, I think it is the same. Like what I was hoping it would be, I think it actually is. Live stream. Oh, it's not v equals. So then if I just go publish, refresh. There we go. So it's now live, not on my dev site, but so for me, if I just want to do a quick stream, I have to figure out now what I'm going to do now that I'm doing it on YouTube and Twitch. We'll have to see whether or not that sticks around, or if there's a preference between them. But yeah, it's one of the things I was working on before that I finally got working decently. It'd still be better. That was really cool. Thanks for the insights. Yeah, of course, man. Awesome work, man. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, like happy to share this kind of stuff. And is there anything else to ever go through? And I'm still kind of figuring this out. What the plan is, what the palette is for whatever. Whether I should keep things on theme or if I should just go nuts. Like, I mean, I opened up the stream with like an audio track I'm working on. I need to do sound design for all of the, let's see if I can pull it up. All these stupid widgets. Oh my god, it's so loud. So that's not real. John, with an H, did not just donate $40. That didn't happen. But they have all these like different alerts you can do and shit like that. So I'm trying to make this channel better. I think that's kind of an afterthought. I think getting the transitions better, getting like the bumpers figured out, getting clips figured out, like that's all something I'm trying to do. Partially why I'm on Twitch, because I think clips are better on there. So yeah. Does that not work? Well, that's interesting. Sorry, I'm just noticing you can't even click on those anymore. Huh. Div block 721. Love to see it. I'm confused. Oh, this div block. So this is actually attached to this. This is like absolute positioned, like negative fucking margins. It's gross. I don't know how that actually works. It shouldn't work. Maybe I can fix it. Let's see if I turn this off. No, I'll just hide it for now. So I think it's a Z-index thing at the end of the day. I feel like this needs to be set to relative 2 5. Nope. Apparently this is higher. Stay high, bro. This is 5. Why? Silly. Well, I'll go to 6. This is where like you just create like an arms race of Z index and like suddenly you're at 10,000. So yeah, that works. There was probably a reason why I had them at specific values, but I can't think of it now, so why think about that? Fake it till you make it? Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's funny, like, I used to, I don't know, maybe some people feel differently, but I still don't feel like I know exactly what's going on. I'm just winging the shit out of it, and I think there's some like base level decisions that are maybe better than they used to be, but I don't think I really know. I don't think I've made it, and I don't think I've figured it out. So gotta keep going. Yeah, and I'd be curious, like if I hypothetically did like a structured class, like what a topic of interest would be. Thinking about it, seems like Webflow is high on people's interest based on what I've heard from talking to other people and what I've seen from like the views that videos get. It seems like anything Webflow related is just like higher interest. Again, like don't want to make things just for like what other people want. Like I'm pretty amenable in terms of what I do. It's just what people get value out of. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, like a comprehensive, because I think the live streams are just like I'll fucking like tiptoe into something and then just go off and like chase a car down the block somewhere else into something else. And I don't like if you're really trying to learn, like I don't know if it's that helpful. You can maybe pick up some things here and there, but it's not like you're probably not gonna walk away feeling like, yeah, like I know how to do this shit. Which I think is kind of an end goal for me. It's like if I can make a meaningful difference and like help someone, like that's what I want to do. I know I can't do it all with this stream, but yeah, if there's any thoughts, requests, definitely don't be shy. But I'm stoked to see there's like more and more people showing up, across the 300 subscriber mark, which is awesome. Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. It could be 10. Hope mute worked. It's only 2. 10's the record. Like if anyone's worked with me, they probably already know. Like I'll just sneeze a lot. I don't know why. Don't have allergies as far as I know. Maybe I do, and I just been too dense to really understand. Like, yeah, all that sneezing, that's allergies. But I don't know. I'm inside. Getting hot as shit in here. I want to turn this air conditioning on, but apparently it doesn't turn off for 3 minutes. It does some like cool down thing. I don't know. I've never owned an air conditioner in my life. But it's, what is it right now? 74 inside. So for someone who likes rain and cold weather, like well, now I do. I like the beach, but yeah, give me rain. Do you work entirely in Webflow or hand codes some elements? So it's almost entirely like through Webflow's interface. I try not to get too much into the weeds of like hand coding things. I think some of the more hand coded elements have been kind of bigger nightmares for me at the end of the day. Like this, like how all these modules work. Like the whole structure is hand coded, and this is very simple. This is very simple HTML stuff. And I guess I don't know where like the line gets drawn. Like there's a lot of custom CSS that goes into it. So I have like an auxiliary symbol. So it's like somewhere between like, this is like my working CSS that I kind of come in and out and modify. So this is all like handwritten stuff that I'll just kind of, I'll come in and just like patch on to some of the other styling elements that I do through like the editor. But if I want to like override something under certain conditions, and like Lightbox especially, like that's my biggest beef with Webflow. So I have to go through and do all this hand coding, and a lot of it, like, oh, excuse me, oh, sorry, a lot of it is just like guess and check. So I'll publish, go into the inspector in Chrome, and then that's how I'll go through and modify the elements within there, and then copy and paste it here. What's nice about that is like you can see it in real time with the site, how it's actually going to look. It has like the autocomplete function, which is nice. And like I'm sure a lot of this stuff is kind of base level for developers, but I think that's why people like me use Webflows, because I'm not a developer. I don't use a lot of those very niche. Oh my god, that's so loud. So thank you to whoever subscribed. You scared the shit out of me. All right, I gotta. Oh my god. Who needs coffee? Let's see. Yeah, thank you again for subscribing. I don't. Which one was that? Follows? Media? Did it do the zombie animation? I don't even know. Falling down. So those will be better next time. I'm gonna do like custom sound design for each of those. I'm gonna do. So it's interesting with the Streamlabs, kind of related to Webflow, is like a lot of it's like based on CSS styling. So I'll feel right at home, but I think there's kind of some weird oddities and how motion works with that. I don't really know yet. Yeah, thank you to whoever subscribed. See, squashing bugs together. But yeah, like a lot of this stuff, like I'll get into like animation or a couple like filter type things that the interface just doesn't have. Like they don't have any blend modes in here. What don't they have? They have background, but some of these elements like W Lightbox, right, is like their system kind of core functionality that they don't really let you edit. There's nowhere to edit the Lightbox functionality from like a stylistic or layout perspective. So that always has to be handled through like pasted on code. So if you know CSS, it's super helpful. Non-essential. But yeah, I don't know if that that helps. Yo, what's going on, Arjun? I don't know where to watch Twitch or YouTube. Yeah, man. I don't know. The problem right now I have is like, if I okay, I'm not doing desktop browsing. I haven't been able to see chat in. Oh, interesting. So I'll be seeing this for the first time. There's like, if I show the chat, it's multi-stream or YouTube, and I've had the YouTube tab open, but there is the like the icons for the different channels. But it looks like Arjun, you're the only one who commented through Twitch. So that shows up there. I have to figure out how to like navigate all these windows and everything. So I'm really curious to see if the Twitch becomes more popular. I like the idea of Twitch. I just think it's kind of niche and like maybe it's not for everyone. So who knows? I've got a month, so I did like non-committal 1 month of seeing what I can. That fucking zombie. Oh man. Branding 101. It's killing my brand. But thank you for the follow, Ken. But yeah, like if there's consensus that Twitch is better, like I might be able to not do the Prime and shift all the live streams to Twitch, but then host clips and videos on YouTube. That's kind of what a lot of the bigger streamers end up doing. I have to think it's for a reason. It just seems like YouTube is just painfully behind in terms of streaming. Like, I don't think they thought through all the functionality for streaming that in the way that Twitch has. Like, that's their thing. So, say what you want about Twitch. I think they're not without their problems, but they seem to do a pretty good job with that. So, for this month at least, they'll be in both places. So go wherever you want to go. Like, I don't know. Like, it does kind of divide the chat a little bit in terms of like the YouTube. Like, I don't think you can cross chat through YouTube. I don't know. Maybe. So there's little things like that I want to look up before I really like make a decision. What I'm thinking. Put my foot down is what I was gonna say, but it's more like what you guys, the audience, are feeling. I don't know. Apparently, you can do polls. I don't know how to do polls yet. I have to design polls. Got to do sound effects for polls. Can I design polls? I don't know. These are things I just don't know. Yeah, so that's my local CSS. Anything else? Yeah, and some of the custom code also gets me in trouble. Oh wait, what's happened? Oh, my Streamlabs moved. That's why. I don't know what I'm looking at. Yeah, like the left. This doesn't show the active section anymore. And I don't know why. Because there's something with like how it's tying into their native systems that like I just don't fully understand. I'm happy with how this list view came out. I'm tempted to make it the default, and the other one be the secondary option, like the high level. I don't know. Again, not without its fault. Like some of these are not quite right because I have a minimum height specified to these. So if I take that off, I should probably just do that. I was trying to keep from like too small of images, but I think it probably feels the best. I think edit grid and view height 5.5 would be half the nav. 60 pixels would be not half the nav. 2/3 the nav? Not the greatest math. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Never like to see horizontal scroll. What is breaking it? Gotta be, my guess is Billabong. That's my guess right now. Oh. I'm ready to scrap Billabong. It's not. I don't. Not it. Why? It's something with how wide these are. 75% width. Percent width. Yeah, I gotta figure this one out. I was the one that gave you a follow on Twitch. Sweet. Thank you for scaring the bejesus out of me and for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, I like tried to adjust all the volumes right before, but like 10 different types of notifications, and I thought I got them all, but definitely missed it. The sticky nav elements are pretty awesome. I wasn't familiar with Webflow until I started browsing your vids. Seems like you can get far beyond Squarespace with it, but still not have to be 100% a dev. Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's like, I literally had 2,000 lines of code hacking apart Squarespace templates, and it was just, the results weren't great. It wasn't like, any sort of like custom elements just weren't possible. And for me, like not knowing fully how to code, like it wasn't ever going to be like a realistic path for me to just like start hand coding my own site like that. It would have turned out like dog shit. It would have taken me forever to do, and like I just couldn't do it. Like when I had a site, I had someone helping me develop, and I had to kind of like it didn't end up working out, so I was doing it on my own on the side, or I had to like take it on to myself, and I didn't know any of the developers who could do it. And so it sat for the longest time just because it was just like there's a non-starter here, and it's like all the lanes I had to pick from were just not good. It was yeah, it was like Squarespace, and go back down that rabbit hole of like, all right, which one of these templates looks kind of close enough that I can then just pick apart. Maybe I'd be better about it now because I'm a little bit more proficient in code, but maybe not. Hand coding it, which again, I was saying, like, time suck. I don't really need to know how to code. Like, I'm not really getting anything out of it. I don't want to code for other people, at least in that method or in those methods. So yeah, like all the abilities you can create in here, I think as a designer, it's something that makes sense to me logically, and the visual component just clicks with my head. Oh, here's where it is. Knew it. Nah, just kidding. I forgot about this. This happened on another page. So I added like a bunch of like shift space to kind of fake some of the tracked out type on some of these, because I didn't want it quite justified on desktop, but it creates problems on mobile. And I fixed it on one other page, and I kind of forgot. Maybe we'll do it. Yep. Go again. So like the larger ones maybe aren't great. If I really wanted to have it feel different and like maybe fill out to here, I actually have these. I think this one's actually done properly. No, so it is. So I have like a container of text span, so that creates like a full width justified, and then it'll evenly space the words that are within there. So as I add them, it'll just kind of do like a justified method, but then I can set my last one to left, so it's left justified. Arguably, like what I should do. You know what? I'll actually do it properly. So we'll do 75p for like percent. Do 75%. So then it's like the span will always be 75% instead of me. I should get rid of these. I'll probably keep a little bit because it keeps like a little bit of like organic variability between them. Because these will like mathematically space them out. So if I can kind of bring some of these together, maybe some other ones further apart. Yeah, maybe it needs to be even less. Maybe it's 50%. 66. Yeah, I think it was better with the line spacing, but it's not something that scales as nicely. So now it's still doing the 75%. Oh no, so it's 66. So maybe it goes to 75%. 75% is fine. It's getting a little close between last and 10 plus. 90. It's not fully justified, but it's pretty close. I've seen some pretty good sites using ReadyMag. Yeah, so I think ReadyMag's come a long way too. I was sort of torn between it. I think I just all the difference was and like why I chose design. Huh. Like why I chose Webflow over ReadyMag is really just because I was shown Webflow first. And it just like blew my mind. Like I could just see the potential for myself and what I needed. I was like, this is something I can wrap my head around. Let's just fucking go and I'll just commit to it. And I'd seen ReadyMag before as something that was, it seemed kind of basic in its functionality. Like I think it's really come a long way into like this full website experience. I think Anton's site is built on ReadyMag. Just inspecting the code. Yeah, ReadyMag. Oh, this is landing page. What was that? It was design repository. This shit is just next level. Like just the range of shit this guy does and how creative his brain is just blows me away constantly. I haven't seen this, so don't mind me for a second. I'm just gonna browse through these. I think the beauty of what he does is like it's always super creative, but it's very logical. Like he doesn't do anything that doesn't make sense. Like he just comes up with these like table ideas. Like fucking rat. How does his brain come up with this? Is it structurally? My guess is that it's structurally possible, but I don't really know. Yeah, sorry. I mean, this just will go on forever. I haven't even gotten to like his Lithuanian Olympic uniforms. It's just like simple. It's like just really well fucking thought out. Doesn't reinvent the wheel, but he just does things smarter than fucking everyone. It's crazy. Or at least that's how I see him. I think he started doing these. He was the original one behind all this stuff. I think some other people have gotten into it. Yeah, if you want to take a look around. That's his Tumblr. Good bit of inspiration. He's a funny dude too. Fuck, I miss working with him. Yeah, I don't need to. Oh yeah, his modular charging system he created. I think he turned it into like a hard drive system too. Packaging for it. Why not? Square wheeled skateboard. Sorry, I'm just kind of enjoying the shit. Like I feel like I've I've got some range, but I think he does music production too. Like, I don't know if this is. I get flagged. What happens? Not the type of music I was expecting. Oh, is it? There we go. This is all like glitchy type stuff, if I remember correctly. But I guess he's all over. There you go. Well, I've never heard about ReadyMag. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I couldn't. I mean, I'm curious of the features myself. I do think their design, like they're made for designers specifically. Um, I mean, I think Webflow is, but I think Webflow looks at it more as like a tradition. It looks at itself as like a traditional tool, and not so much like, I don't know. They don't worry about like looking cool. It's kind of just like, I wish Webflow would do a reskin. I think there's a lot of potential. Um, e-commerce, code embed, code export, collaborative. This seems better. Analytics. Hmm. Yeah, I think what's also nice about this is like the templates. They have like a whole bunch of. There's free templates with Webflow at least. I don't know about ReadyMag, but a ton of templates you can start with and then you can modify. But it's so much different than like taking a Squarespace template, because those are like, at least from what I remember, last time I touched it, it was like you had elements, but you couldn't really like dissect them and like change the structure of it fundamentally like you can in Webflow. Like you can fundamentally move things around, you can add div structures, you can add sticky components, you can do all that stuff. And my guess is that you can do it with this as well. Um, there's any like interesting what's going on here, but let's try it. Clearly didn't. I mean, this thing's chugging. This is wild. Oh, not my style, but each their own. No gods, no humans, only design. No gods, no humans, only design. I don't know if I'm cool enough for this shit. What is this? Rotten Bodies collection? Sweet, bro. That's fucking gnarly. I don't know what I'm looking at, what I stumbled into, but here we are. Maybe something a bit more palatable. Lottie? Is this a magazine? Come on. Don't scare me with more of this shit. I mean, the animations don't seem super performant. Like it hitches a lot. But at the same time, Webflow also has a problem with hitching. Yeah, I mean, it seems like they both cover off a lot of the same like core functionality. Different things like doing rounded corners, I guess. Cover image swaps. I mean, it's all kind of the same between the two from what I can tell. I'd be really curious to, well, I don't want to find out ReadyMag's better. Don't know if my heart can take that. Because I'm so ingrained with Webflow at this point. And Webflow's been better about like making progress. They've gone really quiet lately. I don't know what the fuck's going on. They must be gearing up for like a refresh of the whole thing, because they've like pared back any sort of like incremental updates. Like they used to just roll out update after update after update, but it's been a while. Like I kind of want to see if I go at my site. If I go to editor, really random where they show you updates. Oh, what? Settings, help and support. Yeah, here you go. It's everything they've been adding to Webflow. I mean, custom SSL certificates, nice, but that was back in May. Focus mode in the style panel, that was April. Smooth scroll setting, soon respect user preferences. I mean, kind of niche, but or niche. I don't know. So like, there used to be a lot more. Like, look at these. Like October, 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 September, 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 September. Like they were just banging out tons of updates, and they just must be all like over indexed on some sort of major update. That's my hope, at least. Because I don't know, like it's been lackluster. Like they had they had a couple like big updates, but nothing really significant. But yeah, I mean, I think there's so many things that need overhauling. Like their interactions panel is just a fucking nightmare. Like it's really bad. Like if you start getting into like, if you have very specific interactions everywhere, it just becomes this like unmanageable list of like, let's see. What's something I could just do? I think I've been wanting to do. Well, so this sticky nav, when it scrolls in, does like a quick fade. So this is actually looking more manageable because this is only the scrolling while scrolling interactions. If I have something that, let's say, I think these images do like a, yeah, it's the global scrolling right now. So this is it. You can't reorganize it. You can't put order to it. You can't like, if you can't see if there's like, you don't know if you delete one of these interactions whether or not it's tied to something. It gives you no warning. It's either you just delete it and it just breaks, or yeah, there's really no way. And then like, let's say there's something like all these transitions. I want to have it so it's like main structure, so it's like homepage, collabs, and originals, but that's not the order it's in, and I literally can't drag it. So there's a lot to be left. What? Words. Stuff to be desired. There you go. Really setting the bar high. So yeah, I have to think they're gearing up for something at some point. It's been a while. They're slowing down. So yeah, fingers crossed. Anything else to dive into? I wasn't expecting to go too much longer regardless, but I think if there's anything to kind of dive into, I'm happy to jump in. I think music production's it. Oh, let me mute desktop audio real fast. Be my safe space. I'm like playing some audio right now in live and debating on whether I want to share this or not. I don't think so. There's a gong. Like if I want to get into basically live, I don't think I want to. That's about it. Ooh. Save that. Quit it. Do that later. We were talking about grids. Can you give a quick masterclass on grids? Yes. I can do. Let's see. Labs uses it. So, like anything that you're using, if you know you want to have like different sections of content everywhere, and kind of all like this is where it gets tricky. Like if I want to have something overlapping on top, like I don't think grids is the way to go. You still can do it. Actually take that back. Like you just as easily could. So it's really like if you know you want a lot of content, but even this, so like these two columns, I believe this is set on a grid. So the little icon here indicates the grid. And so with this, like I can control based on breakpoint, I can control how many columns I have, the gap between the columns, how many rows I have, and the space between the rows. So for me, like it's been immensely important to, I mean, desktop, you could argue you don't really need it on its own. Like in a bubble desktop, like if you're doing a layout, you don't really need it. You could do all sorts of just like flexbox type stuff and just have things kind of stacked within containing div. But if you want to think about these as elements that you might need to restructure, then I think it becomes really valuable. I'm trying to think of the best example. That doesn't really restructure. So how I did these before, it used to, like, it was really reliant on custom order. So, okay, have my grid here. Make sure I'm sharing the right stuff. But let's say hypothetically, so within the grid, if you click on like the next level into the grids, that's when you're going to get a lot of positioning options. And so if you leave it on auto, it's going to just auto populate the grid based in like a top down order. So it's, I think you can actually change the order of how it fills. I thought you could. Maybe you can. I don't know. But so if you don't want to do anything, you want to kind of keep the same thing intact through the different breakpoints, like you just leave it as it is. But let's say, yeah, this isn't a grid anymore. But like, let's say, hypothetically, I want to switch the first image and the second image. So I want to keep it as one column span. So this is the underlying grid structure. So it's just a 5-column grid. So on this image, column span, so I'll go to manual. So now I have the potential to override the column it starts in, the column it ends in, the row it starts in, the row it ends in. So let's say I want to keep it in the first row, but I'll just swap the first two. So it starts at 2, ends at 2. And right there, it automatically just switched it. So it's going to, like, it's just going to auto fill in the rest of the grid. So if there's nothing specified, it'll just skip it. It'll just fix this one in the second position, which is super helpful. I think the thing that's most helpful, so like let's say you have a layout. Let's say this is flipped. Like the images are on the left of the text. And if you, let's say when you get into mobile, if you don't change the order, the images are going to be before the text, purely because the way it's automatically going to restructure, it's going to like, so if you think about like reading a traditional book, it's top down, left to right. So if it's left to right, like whatever's closer to the left is going to be first. And if you need to stack into one column, it's going to stack whatever on the left first, which in that case would be the images, and then the text would be underneath. So if you don't have that grid override, you can't reorganize that at all. This kid sucks at skating outside my window. So that's where the value is like I kept on getting frustrated. Like before I started using grids, I used to like, I would stack it, but then I would fix the height of the image and then do a negative margin on the text to get above it and then add padding. It was just like this fucking nightmare, like trying to get it to work. So I'm sure there's better ways outside of doing that, but grids is the easiest way. Like you can just very quickly just restructure things, and I think that's been super helpful from just like a pure like structural perspective. Oh, it seems like you're talking about CSS grid. I was wondering about using grids when designing, or is it the same approach? Oh, so you're not talking about Webflow specifically. You're talking about grids in general. Yeah, so what I was talking about was CSS grids. Sorry, I thought that you were talking about like Webflow grids, because that's what I had up. Grids in general, I think that's maybe a broader topic to dive into. I don't know if I might need to put that up. Shit, I owe someone a phone call. Sorry. Oh, that's why. Oh. Yeah, if you're talking like just grids in general when it comes to design, yeah, grids in general. Yeah, that might be a good topic to just kind of dive into, because I definitely like Anton, whose stuff I was showing. He's the one who literally sat me down and explained to me what a grid was when I thought I knew, and I don't know if I could teach it as well as he could, but I'm happy to kind of like break things down to the basics and kind of maybe just like break down the grids that live under a lot of the things that I do, because I live and die by grids at the end of the day. So that's kind of an important one. Yeah, maybe it's something I'll cover in the next one if that's all right. I think I do need to bounce out of here pretty soon here. I didn't know I was going to be going this long. I mean, it wasn't like anything crazy lofty. It was just like the importance of structure, and like how you use that and the different parameters within it. I mean, it was literally like I wasn't designing to a structure. So it was kind of hard to like, and we were working on a very content dense site, and it's like, this doesn't scale. Like, what are you doing? So I needed that sort of reminder of all like the problems and being precise. But I think like grids and like I guess just like gridded design in general for the web, I think might be something to get into next time. Yeah, grid stream. I don't know how to like create schedules now. I have to figure that out. I won't bore you with the details, but yeah, I don't know how I can schedule things out anymore. So I have to figure that out. But yeah, I'll try and like do a little legwork for real next time. I still never know, something might come up. Um, but yeah, that'll be good. Instead of me just like, I feel like I rattled on about shit with the Evinetta project, but um, I'll get better. Painful here and there. But yeah, I think I'm gonna bounce out. Actually, I hate to say it, but yeah, next time grids, and I'll be back. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe I don't know. Feel it out. I don't know if I'll be ready for a grid stream tomorrow. Maybe it'll be photos or something. But I might just pop in for a little bit and talk through some of that. Maybe some updates will be made to the stream. Who knows? I have no idea what I'm gonna get into tonight, but hopefully a little bit of, I don't know, photos and music. But we'll see. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow. And yeah, you too, Arjun. Take care, man. Thank you for everyone who popped in here. It's been really wild, like the growth. I think we've kind of been between like 4 and 8 people through here, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, and it's still not a lot, but I didn't post it on any sort of social channels, so everyone here is pretty much a subscriber, which is awesome. And like I did several streams all by myself for like 3 hours. Like not one person showed up. So it's the little wins. So I appreciate you guys coming through. And yeah, I'll be back. If not tomorrow, for sure Wednesday. So try and get more consistent. So, all right, guys.